the protests and the unrest happening in Thetford, in Norfolk, right? So essentially, we've had about 3 nights of protest, about 3 nights of unrest over a HMO, right? It's not an asylum hotel, it's a house, and it's essentially, you've got some inhabitants, some asylum seekers who are awaiting their confirmation, whether their asylum claim will be approved or will be rejected. And if it's rejected, of course, they'll be sent back home. So, you know, I don't want to be too aggressive here, because I can understand where some of these protesters are coming from. However, when you actually look at what's been going on in Thetford, they've been protesting this HMO. They've also been protesting a plan to turn an ex-RAF base into another HMO, right? Where it'll be able to house loads and loads of asylum seekers while they await their claims. So these asylum seekers, because I don't think we've discussed this in full on the show before, so I'm going to give you the facts, right? These asylum seekers are given about, I think it's just under £50 per week to live, right? So they're given about £200 a month for food and for necessities and for all of this, because with the greatest respect to the government, these asylum claims take way too long, because, you know, it can take up to a year, if not more than a year, for these claims to be processed and to be whether approved or rejected. That's far too long, because I can see how this argument can come up. Well, look, it's costing the taxpayer so-and-so. It doesn't really cost the taxpayer that much. It still does cost the taxpayer. I think it costs the taxpayer about, it's no more than £100 per year. I think it's about £70 per year. And they'll make the argument, look, it's still £70 per year. And I don't disagree, but you have to also understand that Britain is a country, a democratic country, where it prides itself with these certain values, right? With these values of sort of bringing people in and, you know, giving them a new way of life, allowing them to live in a way that they couldn't in their host nation. And, you know, whether I agree or disagree with that, that's kind of the premise of the country, right? You can say that, but the thing is, with the legislation in this country, once they sort of set foot in this country, they can't just be like pushed out. And I know certain, you know, individuals will say, well, we'll repeal the legislation and we'll create new legislation. I mean, it can be done, right? And you know, we'll see whether it happens, but it's never going to happen under a Labour government or even a Conservative government, because, like I said, these parties pride themselves of, you know, being tolerant and being tolerant of other people and allowing them to step foot in this country and allowing them to sort of start a new life here, and flee from wars or you know, treachery or worries, any worries that they have in their host country. And 9 out of 10 countries, especially the Western countries, all have, you know, asylum. They all allow asylum seekers in their country. And it's not like they just allow anyone into the country. They'll have these asylum claims, and whether they succeed or they don't succeed is up to the people that are issuing asylum. But whether we agree or disagree, there's ways to go about it. And if you want to protest, you obviously protest to the government and you say, look, we don't want this anymore, right? We will not elect you into power, because the reality is you are the electorate. So if you don't want to vote, if you really think this is a mass, you know, the country's in mass agreement on this issue, then you can easily, very easily, the next election that comes around, just don't vote the party into power that has this in their manifesto, right? Or instead vote for the party that has in their manifesto to completely abolish the asylum system. So the power is in your hands. If you really think it is a mass appeal problem, right? So, or there's mass appeal to what you're saying, but there's ways of going about it. You vote your way out of it, right? if you really think you have the numbers that you're saying, or if you are just a vocal minority, which is obviously the opinion that I subscribe to. But nevertheless, there's ways to go about it. The way you don't go about it, because what we saw in Thetford is we've saw police officers assaulted. We've saw, not just assaulted, I've read that a female police officer was bitten. I'm not even joking here. A female police officer was bitten, Mike Tyson style, right? And she's now in hospital. Another male police officer had a rock thrown at him, right? So 2 police officers hospitalized because of the thuggery, right? This is not law and order. I thought the right wing was supposed to subscribe to law and order. You have these thugs on the street, these white thugs on the street, biting female officers, throwing rocks at male officers, hospitalizing officers, not respecting law and order whatsoever, right? Throwing eggs at the HMO, right? These asylum seekers are having to be escorted out of their homes and placed somewhere else for the time being while the unrest settles. So, what are these British values? Are these the British values you subscribe to? Right? If you want to debate it, you can debate it. If you feel like you want to change it, you can vote your way out of it. But time and time again, you fail. Manchester mayoral by-election, 8.7%, Marlon West. The Makerfield by-election, who wins? The Labour candidate, obviously, Andy Burnham. So, you know, you're having time and time again, you can't win a by-election, you can't win a mayoral election. What makes you think you're going to win a general election? With the greatest respect. So, you know, it in the grand scheme of things, it's not costing the taxpayer that much. We have a system here, we have an asylum system. If you want more checks and you want more vetting, then I can get behind that, no problem. And if you want reduction in immigration, we've discussed this. Shabana Mahmood puts the figure out, 82% decrease in net migration, right? Even asylum claims. If you actually look at asylum claims right now, they're actually down, right? Asylum claims are down, 82% decrease in net migration, right? Small boats are up slightly, but small boats are what percent of net immigration? No more than 5%, right? Very, very small percent. So that's what's going on in Thetford, right? That's the sites we're seeing in Thetford. Complete thuggery, right? They talk about the minorities committing crime, but they have quite literally bitten a female officer. They threw a rock at a male police officer. Those officers are now hospitalized. So as someone who's completely and utterly pro-law and order, pro-police, right? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Vote your way out of it. Vote a candidate in your constituency, right? That will speak for you. Or is it a vocal minority? Which is what I've been saying for however long, right? So that's what's going on in Thetford. And we'll continue to update what's going on there. But it looks like there was just sort of 3 nights of unrest. I believe it was Wednesday through Friday. And it's calmed down now, which is good, right? Because we don't want to see anyone get hurt. If you want to sort of debate it, you want to sort of rebuke the system, the asylum claim system, no problem. But you can't be assaulting police officers. My goodness, right? My goodness.